I remember this one time several years ago that I had taken all the clothes out of my closet, put them on my bed, which was a massive mound of clothes. And I realized very quickly that I was exhausted, didn't want to do this. And I was just surrounded by a bunch of clothes and felt really depressed. So with that in mind, if you are beginning your decluttering journey, or you're even just in it right now and looking for a little more structure, today I'm going to talk to you about the system that I follow in order to start a declutter when I'm in the middle of a declutter and how I end my declutters. So this first step is the most important steps, and that is to prepare, thinking through exactly what you need in your space. So as they say, the average American has over 300,000 items in their house. So if you're going through an area that has a lot of things, you want to be prepared to take on that area without constantly getting distracted by having to take things out of the room, move them into other places. You want to be able to stay in that one spot. So what you're going to need is maybe several different boxes or bags. Making a clear picture in your mind of the bags and boxes that you're going to need and already having them in the room and not stopping my energy from decluttering. So we want to focus exactly on what we're going to do. When I would declutter back in the day, often I would go into a room that was already kind of messy, a bunch of clothes on the ground, the bed's not made, things were awry, and I would start trying to declutter that area. I don't want you to do that anymore. What I have found to be so much more efficient is to do a gentle tidy of the area. Make the bed so that you have a big space to throw all your clothes onto. Or if you are in the garage, if there are things like tools that they already have a space, you're not decluttering them, put the general things that you use all of the time that are out away, so that when you are getting in there and decluttering, you're not feeling like I have to tidy at the same time that I'm trying to declutter, or those things that you have out that you do use all the time and keep. That's why they're out. They are getting in your way as you are decluttering. Oh, my poor little plant back there. I need to move. He's not super happy in the corner. But the second thing that I want you to work on as you're decluttering your house is I want you to set yourself some timers. Giving yourself timers throughout your declutter has really helped me, and I think can really help you to feel that adrenaline rush when the first timer goes off. Okay, I've done this much. Now I only have 20 minutes left. I'm doing awesome. And it motivates me to keep going, and it also motivates me to move quickly. And another reason why I feel like timers help me too, focus in on certain areas of your declutter. So if you wanted to take out all of your clothes at a time, setting yourself a timer saying, okay, I'm gonna go through my shirts in 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, I have to be done with all of my shirts or all of my tops. And then I'm gonna move on to all of my bottoms, and I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes to make these decisions. The reason why timers are so important is because it drives you forward. It forces you to make those hard decisions. You have got to get moving. If you have as many clothes as I had, then you are going to be in your closet for years, or a lot of months if you're like me, if you don't set yourself timers. But before we move on to number 3, if you are enjoying learning about minimalism and decluttering and organizing your life, then please subscribe to this community here. It is not just my opinion. If you go down to the comments, people will share their stories. If you need a little motivation, this is the community to do it. But also, if you are already on this decluttering journey with us, then throw a heart emoji down below and let us know that we are all in this together. Number 3 is to come up with the questions that are really going to push you to make some hard decisions. When you come across certain items, having some really good questions to ask yourself will help you not to flounder when you are stuck on those certain items that you're just not sure you should get rid of. So some great questions that you can ask along the way as you are decluttering are, when is the last time you've used this item? That is one of my favorite to ask myself in my kitchen, my bathroom, and in my closet. If I have not worn or used this item in 6 months, then I definitely don't need it. If I didn't use that piece of clothing in the last 6 months when it was that season, because I live in Virginia where there are 4 seasons, then I don't need it for the next one. I didn't enjoy it. And that I am keeping so many things for this fantasy self, this person I want to be, or this person I see myself as being one day, and I'm just not that person. nor do I really want to be that person, or I would just have done it. So, right? Like, let's stop keeping all of those clothes that are way too small for us, that are making us feel really guilty and awful, and let's find a few new things. Go to your local thrift store, that's my favorite, but find a few new things that are going to make you feel fabulous in the body that you're in. So more questions to remind yourself along the way are, what would I do if I didn't have this item? Would I immediately run out and want to go get it again? Or, most likely, if you haven't used it in the last 6 months, no, you're not going to run out and you're going to go get that item again. So if you don't really enjoy using it, then why am I hanging on to it? Do I feel guilty? Do I feel regret that I bought and spent all this money? Do I feel sadness or anger when I'm looking at this item? Because maybe somebody else gave it to me and now they have passed away, or maybe this item reminds me of a certain time in my childhood that was really awesome, but I don't use this item and I don't want it out. Do I really need it? Or is it just those 4 core emotions that I am focusing on that aren't letting me move past the things that I don't really need? I'll give you an example. So my grandfather passed away, oh my gosh, like almost 13 years now, which is crazy because I remember him like it was yesterday. Anyway, so he passed away. I took a few things, and some of them were a bunch of keys that he had. He had this massive key collection. He was very much a person who collected and kept everything, which is probably where I got my problem. But he had all these keys and I kept a bunch of them. And then over this minimalist journey, I've realized that there is one pair of keys that my daughter actually is allowed to play with now that invoke a happy emotion, evoke really good memories of being in the car with him. He was a crazy driver, happy things, right? And then I had these other keys that really didn't invoke anything. They were just a reminder that he's gone. And so that was sadness, right? That was, I'm sad, I miss you, I'm upset that you're gone. Some other things to really think about as you are making your list of the questions that are really going to help you. If I gave up this item, is it going to help somebody else? That's a great mindset to go into any declutter. Is this item that I don't really need, don't really enjoy, is this going to help somebody else? And so if that answer is yes, then often that helps me to get over those maybe guilt and regret emotions that I'm feeling and to then donate them. So I could go on and on about the crazy questions that I ask myself as I'm decluttering, because that's just how my brain works. I have to have some good questions to really invoke thinking in my brain and not get scatterbrained. So I will actually list them all down below in the description because I could have made a whole video just on this topic. Okay, so I've filmed this number 4 part of the video so many times, but here we go. Number 4 is difficult for me to film because I get long-winded and I start talking too much, but it's very important. Bless my heart and my little ADHD brain. So let's talk about the conversations that we need to have with the people we live with before we start decluttering anything that is grouply owned or owned by somebody else. And I have heard a lot of people say, you never touch somebody else's stuff. You never touch their stuff. You let them do everything themselves. And honestly, I get it. If you don't have a really great relationship with that person, then I would say, yes, that is the right answer. But luckily, I live with my husband and my daughter, and we have great relationships where we are very open and talk about things. And so we have come up with some solutions that I want to share with you. But let's start back at the beginning. When I was first decluttering, I didn't have a good understanding of what I should be decluttering, not decluttering. I didn't have a good understanding about how to have these conversations with my husband. And so therefore, I got rid of some things that belonged to him, belonged to our family as a whole, that then caused arguments, fights, irritations, and they were not necessary. And I have admitted, I've apologized. We have moved through these conversations, but in truth, they have helped us so much to get a better understanding and a better respect of each other. We have different roles that we play when it comes to decluttering and organization. Now, I love organization and he could care less, unless it's his tools, and then he will help me out. But when it comes to decluttering, I really enjoy decluttering. I have always been a big decluttering person. Even before minimalism, I like decluttering. But he has never enjoyed that, and he feels very annoyed, overwhelmed, irritated as he's decluttering. And I, on the other hand, am over here like, doo 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 doo, like singing my song, having a good time. What we have come to is that because I was getting rid of all of these things that he was upset about later, he felt like I wasn't respecting him. And that is true. I wasn't, because I didn't understand the importance of certain things. Just like if he was decluttering my stuff, he wouldn't understand and respect the same things that I think are cool and awesome. But what we have learned through all of that is that because I like decluttering, can declutter any area now in my home and feel like I don't need to have him right there with me. But on the other hand, I have learned to respect that I can have another bag, talk about preparation number 1, I can have another bag that are things that are his and that he wants to go through later when he has some free time, that 5 to 10 minutes that he can go through these things himself. Now, here's why this helps us in particular. He doesn't want to do all that time going through each drawer, looking through everything, asking all these questions about all these things. But what he will do is acknowledge, oh, you already went through all these things. You found these things that you think we haven't been using, and I can now quickly process without having to spend my whole day doing this. So that has helped us. I just create a bag. He can go through it when he has his own free time, and I get to continue my journey of decluttering, and we have a better understanding of each other. So that may or may not work wherever your relationship is with the person that you're living with, but I guarantee you, if you start having these conversations, whether they're uncomfortable or not, but start giving that other person the vision of what you want, of what you really want your house to feel like. And maybe even the clutter in your house is causing some frustration, causing some issues. The overspending is causing some issues. So there's a lot going on there that can really affect a marriage or relationship of any kind. And if you start talking about them little by little and coming to a better understanding of their decluttering process and how you can help to respect, but also to help them so that you are both reaching the same goal. Number 5 is to find the right donation place for a lot of our items that we're trying to get rid of. So I've been doing a lot more research into this lately because I'm trying to help my mom donate some of her things. And so we were looking at places that you can donate couches and furniture and all that kind of stuff. So I have found that places like Habitat for Humanities will often take your furniture, that we could even call them and get them to pick it up in a truck if you can't get it out yourself. And Habitat for Humanities is also just an amazing group of people that help others that are really in need. So in my area, every couple of months or so, they will send out flyers where you can actually just put things in your front yard that they will donate to veterans. So like clothing and coats and little pieces of furniture, technology you don't want anymore that's still working. And you know it's a great foundation that is supporting our veterans. There are also places like the Salvation Army where you can donate a lot of furniture. There are so many of these places around us that I feel like often we overlook because we haven't done any research on where they are. We don't maybe drive by them all the time, so we don't think about them when we're donating. There's also places that you can sell some of these things if you want to try to recoup some of this money. I have a few rules that I'll share with you real quick about that. But I found places like Facebook Marketplace or ThreadUp, Poshmark are a few companies online that you can use to sell your stuff. What I will say about that is that because I didn't want to go and become a seller of things, I didn't enjoy it at all. Taking all the pictures and posting things, then having to write people back. It was exhausting to me mentally, emotionally, when you'd find those people that were just like abusive or rude. So here's my rules. It has to be the amount of money that's worth my time. So in selling this item, you're going to have to take probably 30 minutes to post that item online. You're gonna have to take another 30 minutes to an hour writing people back. Then you have to be home, or you have to set up a time for them to pick it up. For me, it became where I was so exhausted, drained. I didn't even want to declutter anymore because I didn't want to have to sell anything else. It wasn't bringing me any happiness. It was actually destroying my desire to keep chasing after a minimalist life. So that is totally going to be your call. But I want you to take some time and think about, is this something I'm getting a real high from and enjoying this, and it's pushing me forward to keep going and I'm getting this momentum? Or is it something where I'm trying to sell every single piece of anything I've ever had and I'm completely exhausted? If you look at some other minimalist YouTubers, they'll tell you to sell your stuff and make all this money back. And I'm not telling you not to, but not everyone loves to sell things online. It depends on where you are in life. But for me, it has to be at least $50 to get me to even want to start to try and sell anything. So furniture, yes, go ahead and try to sell furniture. I found furniture to be a lot easier. Clothing, if it is name brand, high quality, barely used, go ahead and try and sell those things. Set yourself maybe a 2-week time limit, at most a month, because once you've done all this work and you've decluttered, you don't want to be sitting with all these things in your house, because you're not going to reap the benefits and you're not telling your brain, hey, this is awesome, I'm being able to live in this big clear space. You still have all these bags everywhere. That's just my 2 cents. If you have joined this community of very hard working declutterers who are trying to live a simpler life, then I guarantee you're gonna love one of these videos right here. So go ahead and start your journey right now and keep learning and growing.